Please welcome our next speaker, Ken May, a Dynamics Nav functional solution architect. Today, he will be presenting why and how to barcode your business in D365 BC. Please stick around after Ken's session for a live Q&A. And of course, don't miss our networking hour.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining our session today on barcoding. I would like to thank DynamicsCon for organizing this event and getting us all together today. The session we'll be talking about is going to be why and how to barcode your business in Dynamics 365 Business Central. We'll take a look at how to barcode your business and really transform the accuracy and efficiency of your warehouse and inventory management. Just a little bit of an introduction on who I am. I'm a solution architect with Western Computer. Been in the organization, just supply chain management, for over 10 years. I've been with Western for 10 years, and prior to that was a warehouse manager in the food industry. I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I've been pretty much my entire life. Just to go over today's agenda, I really want to start the session off talking about what are the benefits of barcoding your supply chain in Business Central. We'll take a look at a couple different types of barcoding implementations for you to consider. We'll take a look at some of the types of barcodes that are typically used throughout the processes. And then we'll get into the software and take a look inside of Business Central to see how these implementations would work. There is a chat box on the side of your session today, so feel free to ask any questions you might have during the session, and I will pop in at the end to do a question and answer session with you. So first, why should I barcode my business in Business Central? I really think of it as three main reasons: accuracy, efficiency, and scalability. When we look at accuracy, we're just simply not going to be making typing mistakes anymore. So fat fingering an item number on a shipment is a fairly easy thing to do, but with a barcode, it's kind of instantly readable in the software for you. In terms of efficiency, I know a lot of times, we do this kind of paper picking process when we're picking for sales orders, and the people shipping the orders have to kind of pay attention to the shorthand of the person picking the orders. So is that a checkbox, or are they crossing out an item because they couldn't pick it? But without that manual step, now we're not having to pay attention to that kind of picker shorthand, and we can just scan barcodes and scan these things efficiently into the system. Being able to do this also gives us real-time data. So we're not shipping orders at the end of the day, we're shipping them as they're happening in the warehouse. Also, scalability. Barcodes are going to give you the same process regardless of the quantity of your items. That process is going to work the same whether you've got 50 items or 500, whether you've got 10 orders a day or 10,000 orders a day. When we set a process with the barcodes, it's going to work the same no matter what size you're at currently. Barcodes are also going to give us the ability to really start simple and add complexity. Once we have item numbers barcoded or we have document numbers barcoded, we have the ability to kind of take up that complexity as we go along. So the first question I like to answer when I'm working with a customer is really where should we implement these barcodes? There's really kind of two different models that can work together and can also work independently of each other. The first that I would typically go is a kind of pack and ship model for our barcodes. This has a low cost of entry. We typically would just use a simple kind of barcode scanner connected to the computer. But this is really going to give us accuracy at shipping because now we're not manually shipping these orders. We would scan a sales order that we're shipping. Our item numbers could be barcoded, so we would scan item numbers as we're packing them into a box. So this would typically be the concept, like you see in the picture there, of having packing stations at the dock and scanning through your shipments. When you're ready to kind of amp that up to a little more functionality, we would take you to a solution regarding mobile warehousing. So some of the benefits to mobile warehousing is not just at shipping, but everywhere else in the warehouse, we're going to get real-time transactions as well. So we would do our receiving off of mobile scanners. Any picking, any packing can all be done on those scanners. And this is also what really gives you the ability to go paperless in your warehouse. So we wouldn't have to print out order confirmations or pick documents. Everything could be handled on a scanner. This is typically what these scanners look like. So I have kind of a small mobile scanner in the office here. They all run on Wi-Fi. You can find typically Windows operating systems or Android is actually coming big into the market now. So with the kind of emergence of Android, it's really lowering the cost of the mobile scanners and making them more user-friendly as well. They look more kind of cell phone based, which we all know how to use, you know, our iPhone or our Android phones. The next type of question we have to answer is really what types of barcodes are right for the tasks that I'm going to be doing in the warehouse. There's really three kind of main types of barcodes that we'll use in a supply chain operation. First is going to be the UPC or EAN barcode. So these types of barcodes are typically purchased from a government agency where you would register your products. They're typically used for labeling items or goods. And they do have standard formats, and you see kind of a picture there of what that barcode typically looks like. The next barcode that we'll use a lot in a supply chain operation is called code 39 or code 128. These are barcodes that will handle alphanumeric numbers and letters. They're free to use, so we can really code any type of data into a code 39 or code 128 barcode. It's typically good for barcoding your bins throughout the warehouse or locations, barcoding document numbers like transfer order numbers or purchase order numbers or sales order numbers. These are things that we can print on documents or print on labels for free and use them throughout the warehouse. And then the other type of barcode that's really kind of emerging into the market is the GS1 data matrix barcode. So it looks very similar to a QR code that you might see on advertisements. And these are really gaining a lot of traction because we can actually put multiple points of data into these barcodes. So this one barcode on the screen could contain not just an item number, but also a lot number, an expiration date, product weights and dimensions. So lots of data points can be put into these barcodes. They're also very compact and just take up less room on products. So they're also very good for labeling small products or having small labels that you're putting on places in the warehouse. So these are really the three biggest types of barcodes that we would use as you're implementing a system like this into your warehouse. So I want to jump into the actual software and show you how we can use these various barcodes to really help out the processes throughout your supply chain. So the first thing we talk about is doing a pack and ship style implementation. So this would be something that comes into play after the warehouse processes are over, or maybe you're not ready to fully go the mobile warehouse route, and we just want to kind of verify our shipments. So we would implement a pack and ship style software that will give you something like the screen we see right now. So this is what's called the package worksheet. There's various software applications that will let you ship in this manner, but typically they'll show a decent amount of information on the screen. But all of our data entry and all of our processes really are going to happen right on this scan here bar. So everything we do is really going to be kind of driven by barcodes. So the first thing we would do is scan the document that we want to ship, right? So maybe you print out an order confirmation and deliver that to your packers, and then they can take it over from there by scanning. So the first thing we would do is really scan our sales order number that we want to pack. So once I scan that order, we see some information populate on the screen. I can see what location that's shipping out of, how much product we're shipping on this order, and then we'll get kind of a breakout of what items go on the order. Now, typically, you would have product labeled. We can have simple item labels, such as this, or maybe you have labels that utilize that QR code I was talking about. So we can design these labels to look anything however we want. You also have the ability to use manufacturer's labels. So if your vendors already ship you product with barcodes on that, we can put those cross references into Business Central, and the shipping software will recognize that as well. So now that we're in an order here, we would start to scan the items that we pack. The first thing we need to do in order to do that is kind of open up a package. So there's various commands that you do through the shipping software as well. And typically we'll kind of barcode those commands and put them on the screen at the computer. So first thing we need to do is create a new package. So by scanning a command, I now see that I'm in a package and I have kind of a box open and ready to put product into. After that package is open, now I can scan items into it. So as we put product into the box, we would simply scan its label and it would start packing that product for us. So I can see now on this order, I've got one item in the box, and I still have one item left to pack. So we'll grab our next item and we'll pack that as well by scanning its label. And now both of my items have gone from red to black, so I know that they're in that package. So these pack and ship softwares also typically will be connected to some sort of shipping solution as well. So what we have on the screen is actually connected to shipping software called EasyPost. So my next real step in shipping an order would be to enter in my dimensions of the product. So maybe that's in a 3 by 4 by 3 box, and maybe it weighs 5 pounds. So once I have that package detail in there, then we have other commands we typically will scan to get a label. So you can see, once I scan that command that's called get label, a screen pops up that pops out to USPS. So this particular order was coded to go United States Postal Service, parcel select. We can also typically connect to many other small parcel or LTL carriers, UPS, FedEx, a lot of regional carriers as well. So by implementing a system like this and utilizing some barcodes, now we can kind of take this a step further, and you don't have to go out to some third-party software to, like WorldShip, to kind of ship your product and get that UPS label. We can print those labels right out of the software. Okay. So not only does something like a pack and ship help you more efficiently and accurately ship your orders, but we typically can also get those shipping labels right out of the software as well. Now, your last step whenever you pack any order is going to be to scan a command called post. Those post commands are usually configurable for however you want your business to work. So maybe you just would like to ship the order, or maybe it's kind of a more fast-paced e-commerce business, and you want to not only ship the order but invoice it as well. But once we hit that post command, we can go ahead and actually ship that order out and be good. So after we kind of go the route of a pack and ship solution, that's when you'll typically want to maybe take it a little further and look into mobile warehousing solutions. So I showed the scanner on the screen earlier. I will pull that up on screen here for you all to see as well. But what we have on the screen now is a mobile warehouse solution that you typically would run on a scanner. You'll see when you log in, this is running Android. It's very kind of graphical and familiar to anyone that's familiar with using their phones. I remember when I first started using these scanning solutions, it was just kind of a black screen with white text. So they've come a long way since then. But we can really do just about anything that you would do in a warehouse right on the mobile scanner, even starting with just kind of getting some information. So if you have an item in the warehouse and maybe you don't know where it's supposed to be or how much more you have, we can do simple lookups or simple bin lookups where you would scan a bin location and see what product's there. But we can get into more advanced tasks as well, like receiving, putting product away, moving things bin to bin, or picking products for our shipments. So just about anything we can do in a warehouse in Business Central, we've now kind of taken mobile and bringing barcodes into the mix as well. So in here, I'd like to start off with just kind of receiving an order. So the smart scanners are typically touch screen. So we would just tap on that receive option and be presented with a list of purchase orders in the system. Typically, the user would select which purchase order they would like to receive, and they would be presented with the items on that PO to receive. But having a scanner also kind of affords us the abilities to do things a little more user-friendly as well. So when I look at this list of POs, maybe me as a warehouse worker, I'm not quite sure what PO I should be receiving. I know I have product on the dock, but the paperwork doesn't specify a PO. So typically that would be a call up to the purchasing department to find out what PO you should be receiving. But with scanners now, we can kind of take that and do some work for ourselves. So maybe I don't know what PO I'm receiving, but I have product here. It has a label on it. It's barcoded. I can simply scan that item, and now I quickly get a filtered list of here's the POs in Business Central that have this item on it. So I went from a list of kind of many POs to quickly, here's the PO I should be receiving because this is the one that contains my item. So when we select that PO, like I said, we'll be kind of presented with a list of here's the items that are on the PO. You'll notice as we go through the screens, they're all fairly user-friendly. So they'll all look similar and kind of have a similar flow, but there is a lot of functionality in the background that can be configured to work exactly how you might want it to work. Being an Android software, this will be some customization options within the software and on the scanners itself. So you can kind of choose how you want to sort your documents, or you can add or remove columns from Business Central just kind of with a tap. So we can kind of handle a lot of these, how you would like to see the information right within the scanner itself. In terms of processes of actually receiving this, you'll always get prompts down here towards the bottom of the screen on what it's looking for. So right now it's asking us to scan an item that we'd like to receive. But we also, don't need to kind of go perfectly down the list, right? So if I were to scan any item on the PO, it'll recognize what I'm scanning. And I also don't need to scan my internal item numbers either. Like I mentioned, we can load cross-references. So if you'd like to use vendor barcodes, we can have that information loaded as well. But we simply will scan our item number. And when I do that, you'll see a message or a picture pop on the screen. So these being kind of new Android graphical scanning systems, we can not only verify based on the barcode you're scanning, but we can flash that picture on the screen of what the product should look like as well, just so we can do these visual checks as well. Now, once we scan our product, we will verify the quantity that we've received. And as we receive these products, then they will drop off of that list for us. So that item has been received, and now it is dropped off of my list. So we'll move on to our next item, scan our item. Again, we can have that picture pop up so we know, yes, this is the item I'm receiving, this is the correct product, and verify our quantity. Now, the good thing about a mobile warehouse system like this is it will know how your items are set up inside of Business Central. So those first two items I received, all I had to do was scan an item, or verify my quantity, because that's all Business Central needed. This last item here, this is an item that would be lot tracked. So not only do I have to verify the item, but I'm going to need to enter in what that product's lot number is, what the expiration date is. This is also where something like a QR code could come into play. So if we look at maybe receiving without a QR code, you might typically have an item label that looks similar to this, where we've got a barcode for our item number, a barcode for our lot number, a barcode for our expiration date. So with 3 scans, we kind of get all of the information we need, right? So first I would scan my item, and now the software knows that I need a lot number. So I'd scan that. And it will have our expiration date and places to verify our quantity. But I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel on this. Now, this is a type of situation where an item label like this might be more helpful for you. So you can see I have that kind of QR code on my label. That QR code will hold the item number, the lot number, and the expiration date of my product. So what was 3 scans now turns into 1 scan, and it knows based on that 1 barcode what the lot number, what the expiration date were. So utilizing these new types of barcodes, we can really kind of amp up the efficiencies in the warehouse to help you receive or move products around. So once we're done receiving all of our items, we will go ahead and post that order. So we can post right from the mobile scanners, and that will post the PO as received inside of Business Central. So typically in a warehouse, not only do we need to receive that product and just kind of bring it into inventory, but we also need to put it away, right? So we can process also these put away documents that will tell you, okay, take this product that's in your receiving bin and now put it away to bins in the warehouse. So by going into put away, just like with receiving, we'll be presented with a list of all of our put away documents. And when we select that document, it's going to show us these are the items that you received, and these are the bins out in the warehouse that they need to be placed in. So the screen looks very similar to receiving the product, but functionally it's very different as well. So we already have the goods in our warehouse. Now we're simply locating them to bins. So with this, the process is a little bit different. First thing that the system is going to be asking us for is to scan a bin, right? So these are the bins that it is telling me to go put my product away to. So I would take it and go over to that bin and then scan the bin. Once I've scanned my bin, we're looking for an item. So we'll need to scan our item barcodes. We can have those pictures displayed to come up anywhere. So I can turn that on at receiving, but I can turn that off at put away. We can leave it up for everything. Totally configurable and up to you as we're implementing the system. And then we'll verify our quantity. And just like with receiving, that item drops off for us. The QR style data matrix barcodes will work anywhere in the system as well. So here's our item that's requiring lot numbers, expiration dates. So if we go to put that item away now, we will first scan our bin and then scan our item. And by scanning that QR code, we know the lot number, expiration date. We know it's on our put away, and we just need to verify quantities and say, okay. So we'll go ahead and put away our last item by scanning that bin and scanning our product. Again, we can have that picture, pop or not, and verify our quantities. Once everything is kind of off the screen, we know we're done with that put away. Just like with receiving, we'll post directly from the scanners. and that will post in Business Central as well. So that's how we would typically do something like a receive and put away process, which is very, very barcode heavy, right? Just know we can also do the same for picks as well. But among all of these processes, we can also introduce what's the concept of license plating. And I'll show that during the pick process. So with the concept of license plating, this is how we can really take barcodes and get you to a paperless warehouse, to where you don't need to print order confirmations anymore, and you don't need to kind of deliver paperwork to the shipping department. We can really have the concept of this paperless warehouse. So if I go in to pick a shipment, just like with putaways, it's going to list the product that we are to pick. That pick is a direct document inside of Business Central. So if you're familiar with the picks, this is what we're looking at on that scanner. So when we first start out our picks, instead of just simply doing the pick, we can introduce this concept of license plating. When I choose to create a license plate, I can choose to either use an existing license plate. So maybe you have a pre-printed roll of license plated numbers that you'd like to use, or I can simply say no here, and the system will generate a license plate for me. So if we look at the bottom of the screen, we see everything I pick now is going to be added to license plate number 68. So think of this LP as just kind of a container for your products. Maybe you pick into a tote, or you pick into, onto a pallet. The LP is just a way for us to kind of identify that tote or pallet. So now as I pick my items, they will all systematically be placed into that license plate number. So with picking, we'll simply scan our bin, and we'll scan our product and verify the quantity. And now we have 0 open lines on our pick. So I can go ahead and register that document. Once I register that, that's going to give me the option of, do you want to print a license plate label? So you have the ability, as you do your picks, to just kind of print out a label on the fly as you're going and put that label with the product. So that will contain a license plate number. That license plate number is all that needs to be scanned now at the shipping station. So we kind of take this concept of printing out pick documents or printing out order confirmations and having that travel to now we just need this one little license plate label that can be used throughout the organization. If we look back in the software as well, and I'm just going to go ahead and search for license plates. Here is license plate 68 that we just created. That has our pick number on it. It knows what items are in it. So now this LP number is really all that needs to be scanned to kind of identify what order we're shipping, what products we're shipping. So now at packing, instead of scanning all those items like we did at the beginning of the demonstration, now you simply need to scan a license plate number and you're out the door. So this concept of license plates can be utilized not only at picking, but we really can license plate anywhere. It really can be kind of a tool to help you move a lot of products around with one scan instead of a lot of scans. So license plates can get created right from the scanners. They can get created at any point in any process. So I could start a license plate during receiving, putaways, picks, however I want. The last kind of thing that I really want to talk about in terms of mobile warehousing is with all these new solutions, it's really great, but they're all really dependent on having internet or having a Wi-Fi signal. So what would happen if you were to at some point lose Wi-Fi? Would that stop you from working? And the short answer is no. So we have a option here called Scratchpad. Scratchpad is a way for you to still do work in the warehouse even without that connection to Business Central. So if I start off by going into Scratchpad, first thing we would typically do here is to add an entry. So when I add an entry, we need to select a category. And you can see all the different categories I have here. We've got receiving, shipping, picks, counts. So just about any process you would need to do in the warehouse is in kind of this Scratchpad option. So let's say I wanted to go ahead and receive. I would select that category and say, okay. Now the software can ask us for a series of kind of pieces of information that it would need to process these. So first thing I need to scan is my pick. The next thing I might need to scan is what bin am I putting this product to? Then maybe I need to scan the item number that I'm receiving. Enter in the quantity that I'm receiving. So through a series of kind of user definable questions, we can still do work in the system even without that direct connection to the system. Once you get a Wi-Fi signal back, you can send all of these transactions back to Business Central and process them. So even having a no connection should not be a deterrent to doing the work. So that's really the demonstration portion. There's a lot more we can do on these scanners. I'm sure there's a lot of questions that you guys have had. So feel free to, if you haven't yet, ask any questions in the chat, and I will be around for the question and answer portion of this. I want to thank you guys for joining today. Hey, thanks for coming to the session today, everybody. I hope you guys learned some good information and have some questions.
Yeah, you did a great job, Ken. I think it was very informative. I got a few questions via chat that I wanted to run past you while we're waiting on the group to get some queued up here. So the one I had was, can you explain the concept of wave picking and how companies use that?
Yeah, absolutely. So wave picking would be a great way to pick a lot of orders really fast. So, in maybe more of an e-com situation where we have a lot of orders, instead of sending a picker to the same bin multiple times throughout the day, we could add all of those orders to what we call a wave pick. So maybe we have to go pick the same item 50 times. We can just kind of go to that bin once and grab everything we need for the day and bring that to the shipping station. So it's really a good way to kind of pick a lot more efficiently throughout the warehouse.
That's great. Thanks, Ken. Another question we had from Brad was, he said, do you recommend barcoding other documents and processes outside of shipping and receiving?
Yeah, absolutely. So the demonstration in today's session really focused on shipping, receiving, and kind of warehouse operations, but barcodes can really help you out everywhere. I've used them a lot, for instance, in manufacturing. Maybe we just kind of put barcodes on traveler documents to help people with data entry during a manufacturing process as well.
Great. Thanks, Ken. The next question we have is from David, and he says, Ken, with the new open printing coming in spring, will the print node be needed anymore?
So I'm not positive on the answer with that. With InsightWorks, which is what I was showing in the demonstration, I know it's kind of built around print node. There's screens right within Business Central to set your print node subscription up. So I'm not sure if there's plans to go to the open printing with that or not.
Okay, great. Are there any particular scanners that you work with or recommend?
Sure. I personally have a data logic that I like, kind of the smaller form factors of these. But I think Greg mentioned as well in the chat that Zebra makes a lot of really good solutions as well, and they're kind of tried and tested in the warehouse environment.
Yeah, I think two of the things you really want to look for on the form factor, with beyond just the barcode scanner and how it fits in your hand and whether it has a keyboard or not, are usually big features. But also is, what is the throw on the barcode scanner? Is it built to scan things 6 inches away, 6 feet away, or 20 feet away? Because there's different scanners for different uses there. So make sure that you understand the scanner itself and how it works. Because if you have a guy sitting on a forklift scanning something 10 feet away, you're going to need a different scanner than someone just scanning something off a shelf that they're walking up to.
Right. Absolutely.
Another one is, have you found a way to print barcodes on RDLC templates?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if we go with InsightWorks as your warehouse solution, they actually have barcode creation code units right in BC. So we can kind of call those code units and put barcodes right on any standard Business Central report that you want to. That being said, we also, I mentioned kind of the 3 of 9 barcode. That's really simply just kind of a free font. So as long as the server or the computer that we're printing that from has the font installed, we can use 3 of 9 barcodes for free.
Is the license plate feature you've shown similar to picking to tote? If not, what would be the differences or similarities? And that question is from Marcelo.
Yeah. So license plating is very similar, or picking to tote, I would say, is one of the ways that we can use license plating. So on the license plate record, we can just kind of say that is a tote, and all that really means is that we reuse and kind of recycle that license plate throughout the course of the day. So yeah, they're very, very similar concepts.
Great. David has another question. It's, do you typically move customers off of Bartender if they're using it already, or integrate this with them?
I've had a couple scenarios where we did keep the customer on Bartender, but I would say the vast majority of the projects I work will typically print those labels through standard Business Central reports, just to kind of keep everything in-house and easy access to that data.
Great. Another question we have is, if there's time, could you elaborate on any of your experiences using barcodes in an e-commerce or print-on-demand process? Just thinking about a high-volume scanning environment.
Sure. So as far as high volume kind of e-commerce, we've done, I've worked on some projects where we kind of automate the printing of these reports, and have kind of totes rolling on on conveyors where, they're kind of automatically being scanned and printed. So, if we want to go some sort of automation route, we can really have those scanner eyes, kind of scanning throughout the whole process and verifying different things. InsightWorks is also really good about being able to do some of this customization that you would have to do in a print on demand or kind of high volume environment. So we can maybe even print some labels up front before you even get to the shipping process. So they're kind of there ready to ship without much intervention.
Yeah, and I know Ken's worked with some very high volume e-commerce retailers, customers doing 1,000 packages an hour with conveyor systems, robot picking, all kinds of different things. Ken's really an expert in this area, guys. Another question that came in, Ken, was thinking about over time how you want to optimize your picking steps. What's a good way to make sure that your most popular items are stored in bins that are closest to the pack station?
So we can, throughout the warehouse setup process, we have the ability to kind of rank bins and also, assign specific products to specific bins. So, when we kind of rank which bins we prefer to pick from first, and we kind of make those assignments of these products to be stored in these bins, then within Business Central in the warehousing environment, we have the ability to kind of replenish those bins and make sure they're always full for picks. And then that ranking process will kind of take over as we generate our picks to make sure we're picking from the best bin possible.
Great. Just looking for some more questions here, Ken. I think they're starting to slow down a little bit here. There was a discussion around whether the barcode fonts are included in Business Central cloud service or not. And I believe they added that in the October release, right? Where you can get the fonts.
I believe so.
Yeah, they had a lot of fonts in that October release of 2020. Any other, best practices you can think of Ken's? Like, I think about bin capacity, for example. Do you recommend enforcing that or not in a typical Business Central environment?
Yeah, I will say when I'm kind of first working with customers that are really just kind of making that leap to warehousing, I tend to not really add capacities into bins because if we really enforce those, we can maybe set a weight too small and really pigeonhole ourselves to where Business Central doesn't think we have anywhere to put product away. But, as we get to maybe kind of a high, we kind of dial in warehouse processes and get to, maybe certain areas of the warehouse can benefit from putting weight limits on, maybe racking or something like that to make sure we're not overloading things.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Ken. Ken, I also know that you've worked on some projects where you've implemented automatic cubing for customers. You want to maybe explain a little bit how that works?
Sure. So cubing is a piece of software that we can really run at the front end of a process. So typically I'll run it like at sales order release. And this software will really go out and kind of take a look at all the products that you need to load on a shipment and make sure that we have the proper dimensions and we have the proper dimensions of all the boxes that you ship in. And it will really optimize those loads to tell you exactly how to load that product into your shipping containers. Those shipping containers can be a pallet. It could be maybe a small parcel box, even up to a full kind of trailer. But that cubing will tell you exactly how to load products to get you the least amount of airspace in your boxes. But it's good to run in the front end because now we can get really accurate rate quoting for your shipments. And we can also use that cubing result when we're making picks so that whenever you're out there picking with the scanner, you're picking directly into the box that you'll be shipping with.
Sure. Okay, well, I don't think we have any more questions coming in, Ken. So I think great job, and I think we can wrap this up.
Perfect. Thank you guys for your time. Thanks for the questions. I hope everybody learned some information about barcodes.
All right, thanks, Ken. Thanks everybody for joining today. We appreciate it.